What's up, besties? Welcome back to the Travel Creator Podcast. I'm Laura, and you're probably here if you're tired of chasing trending audios and ready to build something that actually lasts. Today, we're talking about newsletter collaborations. And no, I'm not talking about newsletter swaps that feel more like business transactions. It feels like when you're trading business cards at a networking event that you don't really want to be at, but your extroverted self signed you up for anyway, and now your introverted self is there trying to find the most natural way to hand out your business card. That's not what we're talking about today. Because here's the thing. You didn't start creating travel content to spend your Bali sunset frantically searching for Wi-Fi to hit send on another Instagram post. You did this to travel. So let's talk about how newsletter collabs can help you build an audience that's actually yours off the platforms while you're 30,000 feet in the air reading airline magazines instead of stressing about the algorithm. So let me guess. You've got a newsletter. Okay, hi, welcome. If you're listening to this, I'm sure you have a newsletter. And maybe you've got 200 subscribers. Maybe you've got 2,000 subscribers. And I want you to know that it doesn't really freaking matter, because if 200 people walked into the room where you are sitting right now, you would be completely overwhelmed. So it is a lot of people. But I bet every time you sit down to write your newsletter, you're staring at the subscriber count. You're like, oh my God, how do I grow this without like selling my soul to the social media devil? Well, newsletter collabs are going to be a great way to do that. You've probably heard about these newsletter collabs before, and I know I've mentioned them before, and I've talked about newsletter swaps, which is a totally awesome thing. It's basically when like I have a newsletter and you have a newsletter, and I'm like, hey, we both have aligned audiences. Let's just send an email to our lists from each other. Does that make sense? We are literally swapping audiences. What nobody talks about is that newsletter collaborations can be super helpful, but they can also do nothing if they aren't properly planned. My mom likes to say to me when I come into like a little travel snafu, which is quite often. For example, I just accidentally booked a flight with a 33-minute layover. Wish me luck. Wish me luck. And it's the like one time a year I have to check a bag. Going backpacking, by the way. She says, I was about to say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, but that's from Taylor Swift. Oh my God, not from her, but it's in her song. What does my mom say? She says, oh, prior planning, it's something, I can never get it right. It's like prior planning leads to poor performance or something. Let me just look it up. No, here it is. Prior planning prevents poor performance. That's what my mom says to me all the freaking time, and moms are always right. But when done right, newsletter collabs can be a secret weapon that lets you tap into someone else's engaged audience to provide real, actual value without any fucking algorithm. We know that there are a lot of people on the travel creator side of the internet. This is no secret. Everybody and their cousin, quite literally, are posting travel content. And now we're all fighting for the same eyeballs. And we're not fighting for exactly the same eyeballs, because you might be talking to a very specific niche of budget backpackers, like solo females, or even females who travel, but they still have like partners at home. Very niche. Most people think because I'm competing for so many eyeballs, the solution is to just post more, try harder, pray for virality. But actually, the solution is to stop fighting for attention and start building relationships. Newsletter collaborations are relationship building disguised as marketing. When you collaborate on newsletters, you're not just borrowing somebody's audience for 30 seconds of scroll stopping time. You're introducing yourself to people who already chose to give their email address to somebody who is sharing very similar content. It's a warm audience that is already primed to care about what you have to say and be interested in what you are doing. Okay, let's talk about why these collaborations work specifically. So audience alignment is the first reason why. So travel creators, they attract similar audiences pretty much. Again, you might have that variation of like luxury travel and backpacking travel, whatever. But someone who subscribes to a newsletter about solo female travel is probably interested in sustainable travel tips, or digital nomad advice, or maybe even hidden Southeast Asia gems. I'm interested in every single one of these. If you write a newsletter about any of these, please let me know. I would love to subscribe. Another reason why they work is called a trust transfer. So when a creator your audience already trusts recommends you, so like maybe you trust me, you're on my email list, you're listening to me in your ear right now, hi, love you so much, and I recommend to you like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with my podcast producer, Marie. I am. You are so much more likely to go and check out Marie's work because I am a trusted, credible source telling you that this is what I love and believe in. Same thing happens in these newsletter collabs. Another reason these newsletter collabs work is content amplification, okay? Because you're not just creating content that's working for your audience, you're creating content that is aligned for a larger audience without any extra work. It is literally going to more people. You're not doing any extra legwork, any extra editing, nothing. You're just writing for your newsletter audience, and then it's going to even more people than that. It's pretty awesome. Newsletter collabs are also fantastic for long-term relationship building, which is what we all want. So unlike a quick Instagram story mention or even a collab on a post, newsletter collabs can lead to ongoing partnerships, meaning we can do more guest posting opportunities. Maybe someone wants to come on the podcast after we've done a newsletter swap. Maybe they even want to do a business collaboration. The options are just endless because it's so much more real for your audience and the ROI is a lot higher. So one of the easiest ways to start on this newsletter collab world is with the newsletter swap I was talking about. And it's not just where you can copy and paste each other's content into each other's email sending softwares. You can do that. That is fantastic. But another way to do that I see people do that I think they kind of mess up sometimes is they will just mention somebody else at the bottom of their newsletter. They'll be like, oh my gosh, go check out Laura from Travel Content Writing. Her newsletter, The Content Compass, is awesome. Here's why, blah, blah, blah. What they are lacking on is that here's why section. You need to share specifically why you are recommending this person. What makes them different? Why are they so good? Why should we drop everything and go subscribe to them right now? Another idea that I love is a joint newsletter. So let's say I come up with 5 content tips for travel creators. You come up with 5 content tips for travel creators, and we put them together in one piece of content because that would be amazing, first of all, but also people are just going to read what you have to say, even if it's in my newsletter, because they're like, oh my gosh, I already trust Laura. I'm going to open her newsletter and then, oh, there's info here from this other person. Cool. Let's just continue to read what they say because they're talking about the same topic. It's also fabulous for repurposing your content later on. You already have 5 tips there that you can just go share your own 5 tips on your Instagram. You can share my 5 tips. You can share our 10 tips together. Just so much is possible. Another idea I love for newsletter collaborations is cross-promoting with a lead magnet. So we all should have lead magnets if we even want anybody to get on our newsletter to begin with, okay? A great way to get your lead magnet into more people without a ton of extra effort is to just slide a little message to one of your favorite creators who, again, has an aligned audience and you know this, and you can chat about it and promote each other's freebies onto your lists. This is a great way to grow instead of just like shuffling existing subscribers around. Another great idea is to do a series collaboration. Maybe you have a 3 to 4 week series where you're both covering the same topic, but from different angles. So like 1 week, it'll be my thoughts on newsletters, which are going to be a lot. And then it'll be Marie's thoughts on newsletters. And then we'll go back and forth, sharing them each to our own audience. And also, like, my newsletter about that topic gets shared to Marie's audience and mine, and vice versa. I think that's a fantastic way, just like literally a quick win. Here's the thing about this. These are freaking easy, quick wins. It's not like, oh my God, let's go collab on an Instagram post or like edit a reel together. No, these are quick wins because you are using the content not just for this one newsletter experience or collab, but later on. You can create more content from this so easily. Now let's talk about how to actually find the right collaborations. So we're not going to give a fuck about follower count right now, okay? Doesn't matter because there's science to getting more followers and that can be taught. I see all the time creators chasing collaborations with anybody who has more followers than them. Of course, that's not going to hurt you. We can't fault somebody for wanting to get in front of a bigger audience. It's kind of the entire purpose of this episode. But what's going to be a lot more valuable and get you a lot more eyeballs on your stuff is to find alignment with the audience and not follower count. So you shouldn't be approaching somebody to collaborate on something just because they have the same number of followers. You should approach somebody to collaborate on something that has the same aligned audience and goals. What you can do to find those people is check who your audience already follows. Okay, so when you think about the people in your audience right now, in your creator community, you can probably name a couple off the top of your head. Go to their profiles and see who they're following. And then make note of any crossover, any similarities. These are going to be your warm leads for collaboration. You're also going to look for complementary niches. So maybe you are a solo female backpacker. You should look for somebody who does digital nomad stuff. Those are often very similar. Like somebody who is a backpacker there's a high likelihood they are also a digital nomad. There might not be such a high likelihood if you are a luxury person to collaborate with a digital nomad or backpacker. That's just my perspective. You also want to check their engagement and not just the number of followers. So go ahead, look at their content. Somebody who has 5,000 engaged subscribers is going to be way more valuable to you than somebody with 50,000 people who has never sent an email before. Promise. Just keep that in mind. All right, now we're going to dive into an outreach strategy that doesn't suck. You're going to stop leading with what you want and start leading with what you can offer. I might get that tattooed on me somewhere. Most collaboration pitches suck because they're all about what the sender wants, being like, hey, would you want to do a newsletter swap? No. Okay, no, I don't. Here is a better approach. You're going to start with genuine engagement. So you are going to comment thoughtfully on their content for a week or two. So this is like a strategy I've outlined if this is somebody that you like don't super know. I feel like I have like a great engaged community and I could just send somebody a message and be like, hey girl, let's collaborate. And she'd be like, yes. If you don't have that, here's what you're going to do. You are going to spend 1 to 2 weeks. I feel like 2 weeks is kind of even a little long. Commenting on their stuff, sharing their stuff, being a real person, being real. Just so they like see your face and your notification pop up and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Who's this Laura person? Whatever. You are going to send them a message and just reference something very specific that they shared about, being like, oh my gosh, loved your newsletter about sustainable packing and the tip about the merino wool was genius. Okay, something very specific like that. Then you're going to offer specific value again. Instead of being like, want to collaborate? Because like, what does that mean? That's like an overused term in our world here. No. Try something like, I noticed your audience loves budget travel. I am a budget travel person. I just created a guide on finding last minute flights. Would your subscribers find that valuable? Happy to create something custom for your audience. Okay, something like that. Now, this is where AI is going to be your best friend. If you're not using AI, you're falling behind. I'm going to do another episode on AI because it has changed the way I have worked. It has saved me so much time already, and I have been using a new AI seriously since just a few days ago. Not even kidding, and it has blown my mind. I'll share more about that later. But let me know what questions you have about AI on Instagram at Travel Content Writing because I would love to answer them for you on the episode. The last step you're going to do is leave them with a question. You're going to suggest a specific idea, a specific timeline, and exactly what you'll provide. You could be like, hey, would you want to collaborate on a newsletter about budget travel and where to find the best hostels in XYZ place next month? If you end your message with a question, people are hardwired to answer questions. I never end an email that is not in a question because I know I want to reply. That's why I'm sending it. So they're going to be quite literally hardwired to answer me. Last section, real quick, just a few common pitfalls you're going to want to avoid, okay? So you're not going to try and make it all about you. This needs to be an even split collaboration. No 50-150, okay? 50-50 here. You also don't want to propose a collaboration if somebody just launched something. So maybe somebody launched a freaking awesome course and you're like, hell yeah, my audience will love that right now. Not a good time. We need to wait it out. We need to pay attention to what's going on. How are people responding to this course? Also, the person who created that course is fucking tired and busy. Okay. So you could just even send them a message. You're like, love this, would love to collaborate on this sometime. Circle back later then. Okay. These collaborations are not a one and done mentality. They are an ongoing relationship, the start of one at least. So don't treat it just like a transaction. This is the start of something epic. Once you have gone through one of these newsletter collaborations, you are freaking prepared to get 4 to 5 creators just lined up, baby, to do regular promoting with. That is fucking epic. And that can save you so much time and get you on the fast track to creating 52 weeks of newsletter sends. By the way, I did that for a client who now has over 1 million people in her audience. So if you have questions about how the hell to create a newsletter that can send once a week for an entire year all on its own, let me know on Instagram at Travel Content Writing and I'll hook you up. So the takeaway here, newsletter collabs aren't about growth hacking. They're not a quick way to get 10,000 subscribers overnight. They are about building genuine relationships and building trust. It's an easy way to get in front of another trusted audience. This is also a great time to remind you of collaboration over competition, okay? The only way we grow is with the people around us. A lot of people focus on like, oh my gosh, I need to grow, which means I need to get more people in my audience, when really instead we should be turning to the people who are already in our communities. So if you're ready to stop chasing algorithms and get on the newsletter train and your newsletter is sitting stagnant, I have a 7-day newsletter challenge for you. You can head to the show notes to grab that and get started. But let me know what you learned. Actually, no. Let me know how you're doing, okay? And then I'll ask you what you learned. On Instagram at Travel Content Writing. I love to hear from you. But until next time, happy creating, and I will see you soon. Hee hee. Marie, while we're on the topic of bevies again, my God, I am that gremlin who like will come down from my office and I have all the beverages you could ever fucking carry. Just so many cups. It's kind of embarrassing. And I like put them in the dishwasher and hope nobody's looking because there's so many. But I would like to know what kind of cocktail you are. If I have to guess, you're a... Okay, if I have to guess what kind of cocktail you are, what kind of cocktail drinker you are, I think you are a martini. I think that's the kind of cocktail you like to drink. What kind of cocktail you are, I think you're a spicy margarita, 100%. Thank you so much if you could answer those 2 questions for me. Me, for anyone that cares, my absolute favorite cocktail, my go-to is a Moscow Mule. Love. Don't really care what kind of vodka. I also love a gin and tonic. I also love... That's kind of it. I'm not a huge alcohol consumer, so those are my staples. I do, however, like a lot of lager. I don't like IPAs, which is kind of counterintuitive because most people when they start drinking beer like IPAs. I wish I did because they are just so beautifully packaged everywhere you go. But unfortunately, I like a good lager. Let me know on Instagram your favorite cocktail. We should get it sometime. Come and see me in Boston for my tour. I'm going on tour. I'm not going on tour. I'm just kidding. Wouldn't that be fun? No, but come to Boston and we'll get drinks. Or not. Whatever. It's no big deal.
Hello. You've come to that part of the podcast where me and Laura just sit here and talk to each other about drinks. This is Marie, her producer. Okay. Whoa, Laura, you were fucking spot on. Thank you for calling me a martini. Thank you. That is also low-key calling me an alcoholic because only alcoholics drink martinis, but thank you. I feel like I will become a martini person when I'm older. I want to be a martini person, you know? Like, I love olives. Especially those Spanish olives, the Castra Vitron, whatever. Those are the best olives. So thank you. I really appreciate that. I am a spicy mezcal margarita. You didn't say mezcal. I added that. That is what I drink no matter where I go. Spicy mezcal margarita. And so I also feel like that fits my personality. So that makes sense. I totally could see you as a gin girl because you're fucking British. So that totally makes sense. I haven't gotten into gin yet. One day I will. Also on the topic of the coffee cup situation, that is me. It's like, how do you not have coffee cups accumulating all day? And then yet you have to like shamelessly run to the dishwasher before other people see you. I literally get that. I feel like people like us and whoever's listening who keep coffee cups in their room because they just get busy or whatever. We also probably don't have the cleanest cars, I would say, you know? And the people who have the cleanest cars, the people who have cars who are like spotless are also the same people who don't have coffee cups in their room. That's the same person, if you get what I'm saying. Anyways, long story short, what kind of cocktail are y'all? We want to know, are y'all also leaving coffee cups in your room? Is your car a mess? Tell us at Travel Content Writing on Instagram. And also, I'll actually be in Boston with Laura in August. We're trying to make that a thing. So if you are in Boston, let's all get a beer. Again, not an IPA, but let's get a beer. Okay, see y'all next time. Bye.